The region spared major impact as Tropical Storm Isaac weakens on its path across the Lesser Antilles. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, September 13th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. An approaching tropical storm Isaac sent Dominica into high alert, with the government declaring a state of emergency as the system neared the Caribbean. But after passing between Dominica and Martinique earlier on Thursday as a weak storm, Isaac continued on its track through the Lesser Antilles and is now forecast to weaken further and become a tropical wave. Even so, forecasters say a threat of heavy rain remains. Well, less than 24 hours before Isaac was expected to impact the region, Dominica's National Security Minister Rayburn Blackmore announced that a state of emergency would take effect from midnight that day and be in place until noon on Friday. An island-wide curfew also went into effect. Blackmore said it was necessary to safeguard life and property and protect people from themselves.
There are some who may speak to the freedom of movement rights of the people of Dominica, quite rightly so. But I think a thin line has to be drawn between the national security interests, the safety of the people of Dominica, and in that regard, I think we all have a collective responsibility in ensuring that we keep ourselves safe first. So the issuing of this curfew order has to be seen, therefore, within that perspective of allowing the people of Dominica to keep themselves safe.
Officers were deployed island-wide at various checkpoints set up, and Deputy Commissioner of Police Davidson Valerie urged citizens to stay off the roads unless they had valid curfew passes, warning those who did not comply with the curfew that they would be arrested. Speaking on local radio later in the day, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit reported that although there was consistent rainfall, there had been no reports of any injuries or damage. And he defended the decision to declare the state of emergency in the face of criticism that it had been premature.
In preparing for disaster, you better safe than sorry. And our parents, grandparents always advise us to be rather safe than sorry. You know, the whole idea of precaution is better than cure, you know. So this is what we're doing. We're looking at what is the best strategy, the best plan that one can employ in the event of an approaching storm. Do you wait for when the storm arrives to take action, or do you want when the storm passes by and there would have been some challenges for this to happen? You know, and this is similar to a shelter. Do you wait when the storm is over Dominica, or half an hour before Dominica, to ask people to go to the shelters? You must ensure that you give people enough time to get to the shelters. And this is one of the reasons why the state of emergency, the curfew, took effect from midnight last night. I mean, at midnight, there's not many things that many of us would need to be outside doing, right? And we have put it up to Friday because it is, in our view, and if you're the police, much neater to have it up to Friday. So if it has to be lifted before, then it will be lifted.
Skerrit said a decision would be made later Thursday on if the state of emergency would be lifted earlier than announced and if schools and government offices would reopen. Well, all watches and warnings triggered by Tropical Storm Isaac, which is now weaker and less organized, have been discontinued. At 5 p.m., Isaac's maximum sustained winds had decreased to 40 miles per hour, and it was moving westward at 16 miles per hour. It was about 220 miles south-southeast of St. Croix and about 550 miles east-southeast of Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic's capital. The National Hurricane Center in Miami said Isaac should move further away from the Lesser Antilles and move across the Eastern Caribbean and Central Caribbean Sea through the weekend. Isaac is forecast to gradually weaken over the next few days and could degenerate into a tropical wave during that time. The United Kingdom has deployed a team of specialists to the Caribbean to help mitigate the impact of impending storms threatening British overseas territories. According to Defense Secretary Gavin Williamson, 87 engineers, medics, maritime experts and other specialists have joined the regular crew of British military ship RFA Mounts Bay, which is the mobile hub of the relief effort. He added that approximately 1,000 personnel are deployed or are being held at high readiness if more storms head towards the region. The Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief Troop, consisting of Royal Engineers from the British Army and Royal Marines, have been training with their French counterparts in Martinique to ensure they are fully prepared. In other news, St. Lucia's opposition leader Philip J. Pierre has served notice that he will file a motion of no confidence in the government of Prime Minister Alan Chastanet. The St. Lucia Labour Party leader made the announcement at a news conference on a Wednesday, telling reporters that the electorate is ready for change. We get more in this HTS News report.
The opposition, through its 6 members of parliament, has put the government side of the House of Assembly on notice. A confidence motion will be filed in a bid to oust the Alan Chastanet-led cabinet of ministers from office.
Her Majesty's loyal opposition will not use the legal tools that are available to us. We're going to indict the government in Parliament. We're going to bring a vote of no confidence in the government, and we're going to ask the government to defend itself on the indictments that we raise against them. And each of the 11 parliamentarians will have to stand up and defend the actions of the government.
The Constitution does make provisions for proposing confidence motions in the House of Assembly, and here's how it works. Opposition political leader Pierre must first notify the Clerk of Parliament of the confidence motion, who then passes it on to the House Speaker. The Speaker ensures the proposed confidence motion is in accordance with House rules, and after installs it on the order paper for debate and subsequent vote at the next available sitting. All 17 members can debate the motion, after which the Speaker puts the question to a vote in the House. Political leader Pierre and the opposition would need 3 aye votes from the government side to successfully pass the no-confidence motion. Would a United Workers' Party MP and sitting minister support Pierre's no-confidence motion? UWP sources insist that scenario is highly unlikely.
We'll leave each minister to his conscience. We're going to leave each minister to agree that they should destroy the Parliament building. Each minister must agree that a gift from the Taiwanese of an abattoir that costs $21 million must be demolished. Each minister must agree that historic buildings must. That's all we're saying. We are saying it's our job and our duty to create the environment by bringing up the vote of confidence. And if it's left, I can assure you, all 6 of us will be voting for the motion. I can assure you. But as to where the government will vote, we do not know.
Should political leader Pierre's opposition get the needed 3 votes in the House, the Prime Minister would then have up to 3 days to resign before the Governor-General steps in and dissolves Parliament, paving the way for a fresh general election. Meanwhile, the UWP scoffed at the opposition's proposed no-confidence motion in a September 12th statement, describing it as, quote, political posturing, which, quote, will be embarrassingly defeated whenever it is submitted, end quote.
Over in the Cayman Islands, opposition members walked out of the Legislative Assembly in protest on a Wednesday after Deputy Opposition Leader Alva Suku was suspended from the House for the day. The suspension followed the representative for Newland's refusal to apologize to Speaker Makiva Bush for comments he made last Thursday that the Speaker believed were directed at him. Bush said there was an implication in the comments that he was working with the China Harbor Engineering Company, a Chinese government company rumored to be involved with one of the bids to build new cruise piers in Georgetown Harbor. At a press conference following the walkout, the opposition said Suku had been unjustly censured because he had not mentioned the name of any company or any specific member of the Legislative Assembly during the debate. Rishma Raghunath of Cayman 27 reports.
Government voted to suspend Newland's lawmaker Alva Suku for 1 day after he declined to apologize for comments many believe were directed at Speaker Makiva Bush.
At no point in time did I mention China Harbor, Sinopharm, Mr. Bush, who the member was, what the allegations were, nothing. I simply voiced the concern to the House. That was it. All of this then cascaded from that point.
West Bay North MLA Bernie Bush broke ranks with government, voting against the suspension. The motion passed anyway, prompting opposition and independent member Kenneth Bryan to get up and leave.
We don't. This is regrettable that our parliament has been dragged to this level. And we are taking a stand to say that we belong to an institution that should be honorable, respectful to all of its institutions, all of its members, and the general public at large.
The entire action played out in the absence of live video and audio broadcast. However, as government says, equipment normally used to broadcast daily proceedings was damaged after a suspected lightning strike.
The opposition says it plans to take documents laid in the House on a Wednesday regarding Bush's relationship with China Harbor Engineering Company, as well as correspondence with the company's Cayman representative to the Anti-Corruption Commission for investigation. Nurses in Jamaica finally signed a wage deal with government. The details of that story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Peter Berg announced that he will direct a documentary which will take a stylistic look at the life of pop star Rihanna. The feature film will not be so much a rockumentary as it will be an intimate look at the life of a megastar. Berg's documentary film company, Film 45, will be producing the film. Berg previously directed Friday Night Lights, which was based off a true story.
This month on Caribbean Passport, we take a bite into Barbados at the Food and Rum Festival. We get an intimate look into this world-class event by top chefs and mixologists. And if that isn't enough spice, we visit Pure Grenada, all coming up right here on this station.
Welcome back. More than a year after submitting its wage claim, the Nurses Association of Jamaica has signed a wage agreement with the government. Dr. Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and Public Service, says 80% of public sector workers are now covered under the 4-year wage agreement. Among the key provisions in the agreement with the nurses are a 20% pay increase over 4 years, an increase in the amount for scholarships at the master's level, and additional funding for tertiary grants to nurses. Buses will also be provided to assist with the transportation of nurses who work on late shifts. An injunction that stood in the way of the construction of a new airport terminal in Barbuda has been lifted. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court of Appeal made the ruling on Tuesday, paving the way for the resumption of construction work. Attorney Dr. David Dorset, one of the lawyers representing the Gaston Brown-led government that challenged the granting of the injunction, described the ruling as a victory.
One of the attorneys representing the government, senior counsel Anthony Astafan, argued that the injunction filed by a group of Barbudans breached natural justice. He therefore insisted that the right to be heard was denied, and the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal agreed. On August 2, 2018, Barbudan claimants John Mussington and Jacqueline Frank were granted a temporary injunction to prevent any further work on the airport until the Antigua and Barbuda Airport Authority and the Development Control Authority, DCA, comply with the Physical Planning Act of 2003. The group of Barbudans was being represented by Leslie Thomas QC, international human rights barrister at Garden Court Chambers in the UK. He accused the government of disregarding the Physical Planning Act of 2003. Thomas also expressed concern that the original Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA, which was submitted by the developers in November 2017, was grossly inadequate. However, in its ruling, the court ruled in favor of the government, saying the breach of natural justice is sufficient to overturn the interim August 2 injunction. In response to the decision, another one of the government's attorneys in the case, Dr. David Dorset, described the ruling as sublime. Dr. Dorset said the ruling shows that the principle of natural justice is too important to overlook. An estimated 7,100 feet of land have been cleared on the sister isle for the construction of the airport.
In Guyana, members of the former People's Progressive Partnership Party Civic Cabinet, who served during the sale and transfer of lands known as Pradoville II, have been summoned to face new questioning by the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU. We get more in this HGP Nightly News report.
As the Special Organized Crime Unit wraps up its investigation into the sale of Pradoville II lands, former President Barrett Jack Dew and all former ministers of the 2006-2011 cabinet were on Wednesday questioned by ranks of the Special Organized Crime Unit. Attorney representing a few of the ministers, Anil Nandlal, confirmed that his PPP colleagues are being questioned in relation to Pradoville II lands.
A number of members of the 2006-2011 PPP government cabinet members have been invited to attend an interview here at SOCU to answer certain questions in relation to the Pradoville transactions. And that process is ongoing. Right now we have former Prime Minister Sam Hines, Pauline Sukai, Kelawan Lal, Berry Ramsaran, Irfan Ali are the persons who are currently here to, I suppose, assist with the investigations.
The questioning of the former cabinet members came less than 1 week after SOCU wrapped up its investigation into the sale of the lands. A forensic audit report shows that of the 28 lots totaling 12.1187 acres, only 3.9693 remain unallocated. The audit found that the housing land had been grossly undervalued and had been allocated preferentially. So it is not an arrest?
No, they were not arrested. They were invited. And as a demonstration of, I suppose, their willingness to assist with the investigation and to demonstrate that they have done nothing wrong, they have decided to lend their assistance as requested.
For the record, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, which had probed ancestral lands, heard that the controversial Pradoville II lands were ordered transferred by former President Barrett Jack Dew, and that the transfer process might not have been above board. In fact, it was revealed that there is no evidence within the records of the Central Housing and Planning Authority of a house lot allocation process for plots of land at Pradoville I and II. Charges, though, will be brought against those questioned.
Ahead in Newsline Sports, and Kitts and Nevis Patriots defeat Jamaica Tallowas in the second CPL playoff. We'll be right back.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Remain dressed with shoes in the event that an evacuation is required.
Dominica's World Creole Music Festival in 2018, October 26-27. 7/28 at the Windsor Park Stadium in the capital city, Roseau.
3 nights, over 8 genres.
40 years of independence, one location, Dominica, the 20th edition of Dominica's World Crayon Music Festival. For more information, like our Facebook page, Dominica Festivals. Visit our website, www.dominicafestivals.com for all travel, accommodation, and ticketing details.
My love,
my home, my Dominica, building a resilient nation. See you there! Proudly sponsored by the Government of Dominica and Discover Dominica Authority.
It's my first year, the first of the 3 that they've been doing. It will not be my last, but it's beautiful to celebrate everything that we contribute to the society that we live in, as well as music. Music is such a universal language. It bridges gaps. It soothes souls. It's just so many different things all wrapped into one. And when we contribute our part of it, it just becomes even that much more magical.
It's off the chain. And to see us, look at this. Demetria McKinney, House of Pain. Y'all know who this is, right?
Continuing with sports now, a blistering half-century from Anton Devcich led the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots to the semi-finals of the Caribbean Premier League via a nail-biting 2-wicket win over the Jamaica Tallawahs at the Guyana National Stadium on Wednesday night. In a record run chase, the Patriots overhauled the Tallawahs' competitive score of 191 for 5 from their 20 overs, ending on 193 for 8 from 19.5 overs to earn a semi-final showdown with the Trinbago Knight Riders on Friday. The Patriots' sensational fight back overshadowed Tallawahs opener Glenn Phillips' impressive knock of 103 from just 63 balls. He shared in a 70-run second-wicket partnership with Ross Taylor, who made 33, and then added 42 with David Miller, who got 19 not out, to help the Tallawahs to their eventual total.
He hasn't got enough of it. It'll be cutting, and he doesn't drop them. Oh, he does! Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I nailed you. Michael Slater. Dear, oh dear, the power of all our words. Oh, good shot. Flat hard. Down the ground again. This should be out. Can they catch this one? They can. Good effort. It's Russell. That is one of the danger players walking back.
All-rounder to all-rounder. Brathwaite wins the battle on this occasion.
There he goes for 10. 149 for 4 now. Oh yeah, has he got it? He has. It's tracking, 1 bounce 4. He's got it all. Oh, and then he comes across the stumps, dragged himself outside off stump, and whacks it over a straightish mid-wicket. He's 97 from 57. 161 for 4. And that's not a bad way to open the account. Second cherry, and he's smoked it. And that'll be 4. He'll bring it up. Phillips, you've done it again. You've done it again for your team. Eldorado celebration. And is this the innings that gets them to the next stage? Well, that's one launched. That's what he can do. So he sets up to be more instinct-driven on that occasion and nails it. This'll go as well, sliced away. 1 bounce. There he goes, and
You've done it again.
I've done it again.
You've done it again.
I've done it again. He does not carry his bat because I said he was going to. Then he will not drop this one. He has. But 191 for 5. Wow, a record total.
The win for the Patriots was set up by Dev Sich, whose 50 came from just 23 balls and included 5 boundaries and 2 sixes.
Enough on it. Yes! A timely hero maximum from Big Ben.
Rubber ball came flying across.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. He almost ran past it. Russell, it's a Republic Bank classic. He's so quick, but he's got such awareness and balance. He grabbed onto it.
Lewis has gone for it. 177 for 7 now.
Superman flying forward.
He's got to go. This game is unbelievable. 183 for 8.
Has cut the Tallawahs down to size here at Providence. The Tallawahs are going home, and the Patriots are going to the semi-final of Hero CPL 2018. They've won by 2 wickets.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
This month on Caribbean Passport, we take a bite into Barbados at the Food and Rum Festival. We get an intimate look into this world-class event by top chefs and mixologists. And if that isn't enough spice, we visit Pure Grenada. All coming up right here on this station.
Born and raised in a tranquil little community called Bellevue in the parish of Portland, Jamaica. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, Eric Somers is a real name. E-R-I-C-S-O-M-E-R-S. Journey been for me. Yo, it's a rough journey, you know, but that's why I always try to keep myself as hardcore as possible, because I know I have the rough game to fight, so I have to stay strong enough to rough up the game. So give thanks to the Almighty who always give me enough strength.
Her passion for what she believes is unmatched.
You couldn't, I wanted to get to the point where you can shake me off that perfect piece.
She's a book-off radio host, philanthropist, and motivational speaker.
And I said, I'm going to write you a check for $10,000, which I'm not.
Spirit, soul, and body.
To get them some help through the transition.
I'm Karita D, and you're listening to Girlfriend Get a Life.
Again, the major developments of this day. The region spared major impact as Tropical Storm Isaac weakens on its path across the Lesser Antilles. And in sports, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are into the semi-finals of the CPL after defeating Jamaica Tallawahs by 2 wickets. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to ConnerNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.